and welcome back to Guides for Brides, the wedding podcast. We always love to bring you unique ideas and special guests that are going to help you understand how to get ready for your wedding across all aspects of the day. And this time it's no different. We've all been there, woken up on the morning of an important event and seen a horrible spot right on our faces. And today's guest is an expert in all things skincare. So we hope that with her advice, you won't have that situation on the morning of your wedding. So let's head over to the Zoom with Nicola from Skin Geek. So today we're joined by the fabulous Nicola from Skin Geek UK. She knows everything there is to know about skincare and problems you may face with your skin. So Nicola, welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi Nikita, thanks for having me. So my name is Nicola Russell. My company's called Skin Geek. I have a skin clinic in Scotland, but I also work in Harley Street as well. So I've just recently moved to a clinic called the Phi Clinic in Harley Street, and I've got a training academy. I've been a beauty therapist for about 20 years, and I think I've mainly focused on skin for about 7-8 years.
Amazing. So you're a real skin expert, well, as the name would say.
I hope so. We'll find out.
For sure. Well, let's just dive straight into the questions there. And Nicola and I were talking just before this episode, and I think this is going to work a bit like a Q&A, because let's face it, Guides to Brides, we know the basics of a few things to do with skincare, but it's not the same level as we know about like finding your wedding venue or booking your wedding photographer. It's not to that same level. So Nicola is here to answer our key questions. So let's start with that big one. I think when we sent out our Instagram story with questions and that people would like to have answered, this one came up quite a lot. And I think it's because we see it on Instagram so much, is how do we get that smooth, glowy skin that we see all the influencers having, that we really want to have on our wedding day? How do we get that?
So there's a few things. So I think things like glass skin, it's a synergy of things, but one thing to note as well, so obviously I look at Instagram influencers and things like that. A lot of them have actually got filters on their skin as well. And we all love a filter. So, I mean, the quickest, easiest, fakest way to do it is to obviously to pop a filter on your camera. But obviously when it comes to your wedding day and stuff, you can't do that. So I think it's a synergy of things. It's good skincare, it's good treatments. And I do believe that it's there's an internal aspect to it as well. So it's what you eat, it's how you're feeling, like stress and things plays a huge part on how your skin is. But I definitely think the two key things are good skincare routine, and you've got to do it religiously. It's picking the right ingredients for your skin concerns and your skin type. And I know that not everyone's got the budget for treatments and things. So I always say, if you're on a budget, skin first. So always start on a really good skincare plan. The easiest way, or the best way to do it, is actually to visit a professional. So I know that a lot of people go to like the Debenhams and things. In fact, I didn't even know if Debenhams is open anymore, is it?
It's not, no.
No, it's not, right.
Like,
we'll see John Lewis. We'll see John Lewis.
Yeah, or Boots or Superdrug.
Yeah. If you can, go into an actual clinic that specialises in skin, and they'll assess your skin. Because if you don't know what skin type you are, they'll assess your skin. They'll tell you what kind of skin type you have, and they'll recommend the perfect skin regime for you. And if you do something like that religiously, then you will see results. It's not going to happen instantly, but you will see results. One of the best ways to get that kind of glass-like skin is to up your exfoliation. Now, I know a lot of people don't actually exfoliate their skin, but it's honestly the quickest way to have that kind of smooth, radiant kind of complexion. Another thing, the main things that I use in my skin routine that I feel that gives me that kind of glass-like appearance is, I love vitamin C, I love retinol, I love hyaluronic acid. These are kind of things that I look for in my skin routine. And then add in some acids like glycolic, salicylic acid, like lactic acid, anything that's going to buff and smooth the skin. And hydration, that's a massive thing. So if you're not drinking enough water, That plays a massive part in how your skin looks as well. If you're not hydrated, you can really see that. If you've got
I'm
that
glad I'm
patch,
drinking water
dull
while we're
skin. You just had a drink of water, so I've not even got water here, so I'm not even following my own advice. But honestly, it makes such a difference. And even things like, see, if I can see it in my face, if I don't drink enough water, my eyes go so puffy. So I'm one of these people that need to drink so much water, just to reduce the puffiness and to give me that kind of glowy complexion, because it really does dehydrate the skin.
Amazing. And so what you're saying is that we need to have a good routine for the skincare, and we need to do it very religiously, like daily, twice daily, depending on what your skin requirements are. So we've talked about skincare routines, but what is the difference between a routine and a treatment? So if I'm having a treatment for acne, that's not necessarily a skincare routine, is it?
No, so the way I look at treatments compared to like a regime, so if you're getting regular treatments, it's kind of like going to the gym, but then eating a lot of rubbish at home. So you wouldn't go to the gym and then you come home and eat pot noodles and drink cans of cola and things like that. So it's actually a synergy, things that if you eat well and you go to the gym, you're obviously going to improve the physical aspect, you know, your body's going to improve that way. You wouldn't do one or the other. And I think that if you are, to me, the most important thing is the regime. So you look after your skin every single day, and the results is boosted by the treatments. So I wouldn't get treatments done and I wouldn't, without doing a good regime at home. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. So I always see the treatments as a booster to what you're doing at home. So at home, follow a good routine, do it religiously, you'll get great results, and those results are further boosted by treatments. And if you get a treatment specialised to your concerns, so you go to a skin clinic and they'll do something very specific for your concerns. So just say you've got acne, they might do something like a salicylic acid peel or some type of laser treatment, but that's just boosting what you're already doing at home.
So rule number one, get a good skin routine in place.
Always start with skincare. Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. And so when we've got long-term problems, then, I mean, I've mentioned there about acne treatments and things like that. What other long-term problems or skincare issues might we want to look at having a treatment for?
So one of the things that I treat quite a lot of is rosacea. So rosacea is an inflammatory condition, and a lot of people aren't sure if you, and the thing is as well, so someone like me, I can't diagnose rosacea, so you really need to go to the doctor to get that diagnosed. But rosacea kind of appears as a kind of red flushed appearance across your face. It usually starts at the nose and across the cheeks. And rosacea is one of those treatments that I do definitely think treatments help. You follow a good regime at home, but I do definitely think that things like IPL, to me, IPL's the gold standard treatment for rosacea. So it's a broad spectrum of light that goes in and looks for something that's not there. So typically like blood and pigmentation. So what it does is it kind of goes in and tries to cauterize that blood that's kind of flushing round about your nose and your cheeks. And obviously, and there's treatments as well that you can do at home. So one of the key ingredients I look for if you've got rosacea is something called azelaic acid. And it's a really good anti-inflammatory ingredient. For me, out of all the things that I've tried, I feel like this is the acid that's the most important or works the best for a condition like rosacea. But I find that rosacea is just as common as acne now. And there's lots of studies to say that it stems from the gut and things like that. So, and that's another one of those things that it's a synergy of things that's going to help it. So good gut health, good skincare routine, and go for treatments like IPL, a really good reputable clinic. Acne is obviously a major one, so that's a long-term sort of inflammatory condition. And again, very similar to rosacea, good skincare, get treatments. If it is an issue, then obviously you always need to visit your GP. And just when you're saying like long-term conditions there is some things that you just need to see your GP about. When it's past that kind of annoying sort of breakout in a few spots there, sometimes you just need to see the GP and you need to get that like medical help for certain conditions. Another one that I see a lot of is acne scarring. So once you've actually got rid of the acne, then you're left with the after effects of that condition. So scarring, and scarring is one of those things that there's certain skin conditions that you can actually hide quite easily with makeup. Scarring's one of those things that you can, even though you've put on your makeup, you can still see it.
Yeah, it comes up
like
quite
scarring.
bumpy sometimes.
Yeah, it's one of those annoying things that can happen after you've went through a bout of acne, and it's more aggressive treatments that you need for that. So things like microneedling, things like lasers, but see, is like there's new treatments coming out all the time. We live in a world where like technology is amazing now. Things that we would have loved to have got years ago for things like your scarring, it's so easily accessible now.
Yeah, totally. And I think as well, like things like acne and acne scarring affect so many people, don't they? It's not just like you as an individual, it affects so many of us. I mean, I haven't had acne myself, but I know of quite a few people that have, and like they have, while I was talking about doing this podcast with them, they sort of said, oh yeah, this is definitely something that I'd like to know about. So it's worth being aware of.
It really affects your self-confidence. I had acne when I was in my early 20s, and I think that's where I got my passion for skin as well, because it does, if you have got a skin condition, it really does affect your self-confidence in a way that nobody will understand if they've not had that. Do you know what I mean? So, and your wedding day is the most it's the most important, one of the most important days of your life. So you want to look your best, and if you don't feel confident, then it's that's go and get help and see if you can obviously improve that.
Yeah, and in terms of, we talked about those treatments for the long-term conditions, for the long-term skin conditions. How do we know that the clinic that we are using is a reputable one? And we're going to come into this as well, because I know we're going to talk about aesthetics. A couple of people have asked questions about aesthetics, but in terms of like making sure that we're going to see a reputable person to do these treatments, what can we look for?
So I mean, if you can get a personal recommendation, that's always the best thing. But we live in a world now where you, like on Instagram and Facebook, I mean, anybody can say anything and you can appear, that clinic can appear reputable. Do you know what I mean? So I always think that go for a personal recommendation first, and go onto their website, have a look at their before and afters and things. But even saying that, I mean, anybody can use anybody's before and afters. Do you know what I mean? Google reviews, anybody can say a lot of rubbish in Google reviews. Do you know what I mean?
So are there any like qualifications that we can look for, or certificates that they might have on the wall or something when we walk into these clinics? Like, what can we look for?
So with qualifications, things have changed because it's been 20 odd years since I've qualified as a beauty therapist. But nowadays there's lots of there's training courses that you can actually just go and learn about skin. I'm not hugely knowledgeable about these, but when I was at college, I was there for 3 years, so I did an HND. But along the way, there's you go on lots of advanced kind of courses along the way. So every brand that you train with, you get training for them. There's a plethora of training courses that you can go on. So it's quite a good sign if they've got a lot of certificates on their wall, because education is so important. So if they're putting themselves through lots of different training courses, they're obviously up in their education. So that's always a good sign. But I wouldn't say that it's obviously it wouldn't be do you know what I mean? It wouldn't be I mean, if you go into my clinic, I don't actually have any certificates on my wall. So if we were going to go by that, then that wouldn't be a good sign for anybody coming into my clinic. So I kind of work off reputation, and a lot of the clients that come into me are people that have been recommended to them. Someone's recommended me to them because I've maybe fixed one of their friends' skins, or a work colleague, or so most, like, if probably my biggest advice would be recommendation. Ask people, has anybody ever went for a skin treatment? Do you know what I mean? I see a lot of people on my Facebook asking for advice all the time. So you can go on to Google reviews and you could read the reviews, but are they legit? Do you know what I mean? So I always think go with someone else's honest kind of opinion and recommendation on someone.
Before we get into like our listeners' questions, I think there's something that's really important that we need to touch on, and that is non-surgical cosmetic procedures.
Yeah.
We've seen a surge on social media, and I'm sure you have as well, of brides, mothers of the bride, sometimes grooms getting these non-surgical cosmetic procedures like Botox or lip fillers or cheek fillers or something like that. I think it's really important that we just clarify how, if you do want to get that procedure, how you make sure you, number one, get it done safely, and number two, how far in advance you should be considering that before the wedding, so that if anything does go wrong, you have got the time to sort of let that melt away, or you know what I mean.
So I know that rules are different from up here than they are down your way. So in Scotland, we've got something called Health Improvement Scotland, and basically they're responsible for regulating all the clinics up here. So it's actually quite strict up here. So if you are in Scotland, you want to be looking for a clinic that's been regulated by the Health Improvement Scotland. I think down your way, I mean, are they fully insurable? Where have they trained? Have they been trained to a high standard? And I know that you'll know yourself when you see the before and afters on Instagram and stuff. There's some clinics that, and it depends on the look that you're going for. So I really believe in the word treatments. So I like that when, do you know that when you are getting Botox and a little bit of filler, but nobody can see that you've had it done. Do you know what I mean? And I do see the thing about fillers as well as fillers is quite a trendy. I think they go through trends that I've seen. Pictures of lips, and is it called the Russian lips or something, and the Cupid's bow is really pointy and things like that. So I do think things like fillers actually go through trends, and you don't want to do anything trendy before your wedding. So I do believe in that saying, the tweakments. I love like just a little bit of this and a little bit, so nobody can really see that you've had anything done. And I think that's what Botox and fillers and any kind of injectable should be about. It's kind of enhancing what you already have. I've got an aesthetic doctor that works for me, so her name's Dr. Jenny Gilmartin, and she's amazing. And what people like about her is she does just enhance what you've already got. There was a girl that had came in for treatments, and she had said when she came in to get Botox with Jenny, she says, what I liked was when I was sitting in the waiting room, everybody that was round about me, they all looked amazing. Do you know what I mean? There was nobody that was overly false or anything like that. So I do think it's all about enhancing what you already have. When it comes to, and just going back to the whole recommendation thing, get a personal recommendation. That's the best way to find someone reputable and someone that you're going to like the type of style that they do. Do you know what I mean? Are they natural, or do they go for the more kind of dramatic look that I know a lot of people like, and I'm not, do you know what I mean? It's not for me, but it's just each to their own, what kind of work that you kind of like, fillers wise. When it comes to the time scale, I would probably say if you can, at least a year if you can. I mean, probably no more than 6 months if you're going to think about things like Botox and fillers. I would want to be getting Botox a couple of times before my wedding. Because I've heard to people, I don't know if you've had Botox or if you know anyone that's had it. I know people that hate Botox. They absolutely hate it. And I once had a bride and everything worked out fine, but this was a few months ago that she came in and she was getting her treatment done, and she was like, I think she was getting married like a couple of weeks later, and she was actually going for her first ever Botox treatment like in a week's time. And I thought, oh my God.
That makes me nervous.
I was so nervous for her. And she had been recommended this nurse, but that's not to say that she would love it, or do you know what I mean? Some people just don't like the way that it changes their face. Sometimes it can raise your eyebrows a little. Sometimes, for me personally, the type of where she needs to inject the Botox into me, my eyebrows can drop a little bit, and it's maybe 2 or 3 weeks that it looks like this. So I would never get Botox like really close to my wedding. So I'd wait at least a month until I got my Botox done before the wedding, but that I wouldn't get it done for the first time so soon before. So I would want to have it done at least twice before the wedding.
Yeah, so you know how your face reacts to it, so you know
100%.
how long it takes to dissolve, all of that kind of stuff.
I've had people that's had Botox and they've had it once and they've said never again. Like I'm quite happy with having the lines on my face, because they just didn't like it, and you just don't know. So get it done at least once and then get it done again. I would say a month before your wedding.
Yeah, so just to clarify that sometimes, like if you get Botox or fillers, it can take a couple of weeks or a few weeks to settle. And
bruising as well. I mean, I think we'd spoke about before about bruising and stuff. So sometimes bruising is inevitable. If you see the network of blood vessels that's in the face, sometimes it's just your luck.
I mean, it's a needle going into your face. It's a needle going into your face at the end of the day.
Exactly. If you're going to start poking needles into the face, then there's a chance that you're going to hit a blood vessel in your face. So do you know what I mean? It can be inevitable. It doesn't happen to everybody, and it's not the worst thing in the world to happen. But obviously, if that does happen, you don't want it to happen so close to your wedding. And it's a temporary thing. Do you know what I mean? And your lips can swell and bruise as well. But these are all temporary things.
Yeah, so before we move on to our listener questions, then let's just recap. So making sure that if you are going to have aesthetics like Botox or fillers, to make sure that you plan ahead, ideally a year ahead, and then look for someone that's got the right qualifications, insurance and everything like that, to make sure you're doing it safely. Ideally, personal recommendations are going to be the best.
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you have any other advice for people who are thinking about getting like non-surgical cosmetic treatments?
I probably would say is be careful about the advice that you get, because I know that some people, I've heard of people going in to get maybe Botox, and they'll come out and they'll be like, oh, she suggested that I get a little bit of Botox on my chin and a little bit of filler in my cheek, and before you know it, they've had a full face of aesthetics treatments done, and it was things that they probably didn't even notice about themselves. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes when you highlight something about someone, they didn't ever have an issue about that in the first place. Do you know what I mean? I've got certain issues about myself that I kind of focus on, and I'll tell you a story about something that happened. I was in a work capacity with this doctor, and we were in a clinic, and I actually said to him, what would you do to me? Now, that's probably the worst thing that you can actually ask someone like that. What could you do to me? So he says, and then before he even answered, I was like, oh, do you know, I feel as if I'm constantly tired, and I don't know if I need some tear trough and things. And I says, and I actually hate my nose, and I think my nose is too big. And he kind of looked at me, and he was kind of like evaluating my face, and he says, you know, I don't think it's the nose. He says, do you know, and he kind of explained about the golden ratio and things like that. And then he says, do you know, I think your forehead's too big for your face. And he says, I think that's what's aging you. And I went, all right. And he says, yeah. So he says, you know, we've got a hair transplant, like a surgeon here that can give you some advice. He says, even if we take an inch off your forehead, he says, that would actually make you look younger. And honestly, I was so shocked, and I was like, oh my God, I've never ever thought about my forehead being big. And obviously it's all I can think about now. Like, I'm looking at myself thinking my forehead probably is a wee bit big. But and he actually got this guy to come through. And then he was like, this is Nicola, and can you give her some advice on the hair transplant and stuff? And the guy's looking at me going, yeah, we can do that, and it'll soften up your face. And he started showing me these before and afters, and he was like, you know, we'll take an inch off the back of your head, and then we'll implant it on your forehead. And so just a little inch off will make a world a difference. And I'd be like, absolutely devastated. I thought, oh my God, I was asking for some advice on the filler, and I ended up, I could have walked out with a blinking book and a hair transplant appointment. And then something else he had said to me, and I think I've mentioned my nose again, and he says, it's not your nose that's aging you, it is your forehead. And I thought, oh my God. So sometimes like that's a tricky question, saying, what do I need? What could you do for me? Do you know what I mean? Because they could get, some people are just wanting, I mean, and some people are just not honest and they want the money. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you could get a little bit of this, you could get a little bit of that. And before you know it, you've spent over £1,000 on things that didn't really bother you in the first place. And the thing is, as well, you're getting married to someone that should love you. Do you know what I mean? The way that you are. Do you want to completely transform your face? Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't go into an appointment and take there and then the advice that they would give you. Do you know what I mean? Because if I did, oh my God, I'd have a smaller forehead and I'd be £1,000 down. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted a bit of advice on my nose. A little bit of filler.
I'm shocked.
I know, honestly. And that was a while ago. And you know, I think about it all the time. Even when I'm styling my hair and stuff, I do look at myself and think, is my forehead a little big? Do you know what I mean? And it was something that I never ever thought about. And he pointed that out to me. Sometimes you're better. Just life will be you'll be so much happier if people don't point out. Do you know what I mean? Point out things that they think's wrong.
That's it exactly, isn't it? I mean, I had my eyebrows threaded like back when I was like 16, and you know, she did not do a good job. I looked like I had like these tiny eyebrows, and I was like, it was not the fashion, let's just put it that way. And she was there doing my eyebrows, and she was like, oh, do you want me to do your lip as well? And I'm like, what's on my lip?
Oh, I know.
You know?
I know that's a big one that like if you go in for like waxing and stuff, and you're getting your eye, will I just do your top lip? Or I mean, I'll be honest, I've done that a couple of times where I've thought someone, and it's horrible, I've thought that someone was coming in to get their lip waxed, and I've went ahead and started doing it, and they're like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, is it your lip wax you're getting? And they're like, no, my eyebrows. And there's nothing worse than doing something like that. But yeah, she's just decided, do you know what I mean? It's just, you know, her eyebrows are not the only thing. The only thing that's getting,
well, she wasn't brilliant at threading anyway.
But see, since then you probably, like me with my forehead, you were probably then thinking, oh my God, have I got a hairy top lip? And it kind of shines a light on something that you never ever had an issue with personally before.
I think that's it. And it's just really good advice, actually. What you said is like, you know, don't ask like the open-ended question, because you could get the thing fatal. That you don't want.
It can be fatal.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'm gonna go. I can't believe that. I'm so shocked about what that...
Well, I was shocked as well, but here we are.
Well, okay, we'll go into our listeners' questions now. We'll see if that comes up with any more like little tidbits like that, because that was, while it was a great story, I'm like completely shook. Like I'd like to know what other people think about that. If you're listening to this, please put on your Instagram story what you think about that, because that is, I am like, I can't carry on now. I'm just like, what?
Highlighting things that you don't have an issue with.
No, exactly. Okay, so let's go into the hot seat then. So we asked our audience on Instagram, and our Instagram is @guidesforbrides, the other day what their questions were about skincare. So here are some of our favorites. We did have quite a few, so I'm really sorry if we can't get to your question, but we have picked out quite a few, and we'll try and get through them. So first of all, we've got the age-old dilemma from Sam. What should I do if I wake up on the morning of my wedding with a spot on my face?
Oh, right. So that's probably everyone's worst fear. Like, honestly, it's everyone's worst fear. So what I would say, if you wake up with a spot on your face, if it's not got a head, don't squeeze it. Yeah. If it has got a head, I understand if it's got a head, because obviously if you're with your makeup and stuff, you might still be able to see it. But if it doesn't have a head, don't squeeze it. Because what can actually happen is, see if you squeeze a spot, and especially on the day you're wedding, it might actually ooze. And do you know what I mean? If you can, when you can see lymph come out, if you squeeze too aggressively, and your makeup actually won't stick on that effectively, you'll actually see it. Your makeup kind of breaking away from that area. So that's my biggest tip, is if it's not got a head, don't squeeze it. Because if your makeup artist will know exactly what she's doing. She will cover that those spots, so that, do you know what I mean? She'll know exactly the products and stuff, makeup products to use on your skin to cover it. So I would say leave it be. If you wanted to reduce the swelling and the redness, then I mean, something that's free is a bit of ice. I love ice on spots. So just get a little cube of ice and actually rub it over the spot, and it'll actually reduce that inflammation and reduce that redness, and it does make a big difference. So I would do that. I think prevention is better than cure. So if you are prone to things like breakouts and stuff, and it's happened before you've woke up and you've came out in a spot, then I do think prevention is better than cure. So use products that are specifically for breakouts. So there's a couple that I'm going to mention, and my friend Amy Adams, so she's a celebrity makeup artist. She's done everyone from Madonna to Dita Von Teese, and she actually does Tess Daly's makeup quite a lot. So she's a makeup artist that does her makeup on Strictly. So see, whenever I've got like a question on makeup and stuff, she's the person that I go to.
I mean, so, with that kind of name dropping ability, I would totally go straight to her.
So, and she's a handy person to know. So one thing that she's actually given 2 recommendations. So I've got a product, but that I recommend that you can actually put on a spot. So see if you feel like there is a spot brewing, and you can feel it the night before or a couple of days before, you can put spot treatments on these, and it'll probably have something like, look for ingredients like salicylic acid or benzyl peroxide. So these are really good for like reducing the oil. Benzyl peroxide will reduce inflammation, it'll kill bacteria. So one product, so I'll tell you the product that I recommend, and then I'll tell you the product that Amy's recommended. So one thing that I love, and I call it my SOS product, is it's from a company called Zoe Skin Health, but it's a prescription skincare range. So the product's called Acne Control, and it's a 10% benzyl peroxide. So I think you get things like, I think it's called Acne Side from the doctor, and they're usually like 2.5% or 5% benzyl peroxide. This Acne Control's 10% benzyl peroxide. So you would pop up directly on the spots. And the idea is that they'll draw out oil, they'll kill bacteria, reduce inflammation. So you can put that's an excellent product to use, but you would need to know someone to prescribe that to you. Mm-hmm. Something that Amy, now I wrote this down, something that Amy swears by, where is it? Right, it's called Silical Skin. So you can, I had investigated this product last night, so you can get it from Superdrug, and it's actually less than £8. So, so I've tried to do some kind of digging on what it does. So it's binds oil and bacteria in the pore. So its main ingredient is colloidal silica gel. So do you know the silica bags that you get? Do you know when you get a pair of shoes or you get a handbag and you get those little kind of, because it draws moisture? So that, to me, it seems like that's kind of the base of that product. So it's obviously binding and drawing oil from the pore. And she honestly swears by it. She says, honestly, put it on the night before and you've no idea the amount of reduction, the reduction in the spot when you wake up in the morning. So I'm going to actually get that product. I'm going to try it out because she's raving about it. So if anybody's listening, then, I mean, for under £8, do you know what I mean? Get it and then keep it in your bathroom. And on occasions where you do wake up and you have got a spot, I mean, try that. She swears by it.
Just to clarify, not sponsored, guys.
Not sponsored, no, because obviously I've had to read that off a sheet in case I got it wrong. No, nothing sponsored. So there was another, because and things like great makeup like concealers and stuff that would conceal it. So there's a couple of things that I love. So one thing that, I don't know if you've heard of a brand called Art Deco. It's a German brand and a lot of people haven't heard of it, but they do a concealer and it's a camouflage concealer and it's really inexpensive as well. I think that's about £8. I love that for concealing anything. I also like Pat McGrath, she's got a really good concealer. And Amy has recommended, what was the one it was one that I'd never heard of. I think it's called Delilah. Where did I put that? I wrote it somewhere. It's called Delilah Full Coverage or something like that. Delilah Full Coverage Concealer. So she says out of everything she's tried over the years, that's her go-to concealer for covering things like spots. So sometimes if the inevitable will happen and you do wake up with a spot, and do you know what I mean, the only thing that you can do is cover it. So those are my kind of recommendations for concealers, but the products as well. If you can't find those two products, just look for a kind of on the spot kind of treatment. You'd be looking for the ingredient salicylic acid, which is obviously an acid that it's the only acid that can actually break down oil. So as well as exfoliating the pores, it actually draws oil from the pore as well. So you'd be looking for that and benzyl peroxide. Even if you've got something like some kind of clay mask, like a sulfur mask, that would be good as an on the spot treatment as well. But definitely prevention is better than cure. If you can try and prevent those breakouts from occurring the night before, a couple of nights before, be using products like that and on the spot treatment would be amazing.
Perfect. And in terms of covering up the spot as well on a wedding day, you know, makeup artists, they know what they're doing.
They know, they know what they're doing. But I know that, I mean, I did my own makeup for my
wedding.
Well,
that's the thing.
So
you know, you might be doing your own makeup
handy to get, to look for a really good concealer like that would obviously cover any blemishes and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, the next question is from Rachel, and she has asked, my dress is a low cut back, but sometimes I get spots there. How do I prevent this?
Right, okay. So I know that back neck can be a problem. So you need to determine, is this a few breakouts, something that you can help with, or is it past that? Do you know that you would maybe need to go and visit a GP? You can actually treat your back the same as you treat your face. So in the clinic, we actually do a back facial, and I know that it's becoming quite popular and trendy to have a treatment like that done. So it's a light peel, it's exfoliation, a light peel. We do a clay mask, we do steam, we do extractions. So you could find a clinic or a salon near you that actually does facials specifically for the back. Do you know what I mean? So that they call them facials. Because you can actually treat your back the same, do you know what I mean, the same way. Up your exfoliation. So do you know the like the body brushes with the long handles? If you get one of those and like exfoliate and cleanse your back in the shower, and just use the look for a body cleanser with, again, something like salicylic acid, or you can even use your own kind of facial wash if you have something with that acid in it. Pop a little bit on the brush and actually cleanse your own back. The products that we've just recommended there, so that's Silico Skin or the Acne Control or anything quite similar, get your partner to pop some of that on your directly on your spots as well. But I would say exfoliation, up your exfoliation, because it's one of those areas that we don't really pay enough attention to. And
especially when low back is very popular at the moment. I
know, and if it's not something that you've kind of really even noticed before, you start to notice it more when you do choose a dress that is low cut or, you know, backless. So
yeah, and would you say that the order that you sort of like wash in the shower, like, you know, would you probably exfoliate your back before after you've washed your hair because you've got all
and that's another thing as well, that like good point there. See, a lot of people actually get breakouts because they're not actually washing their shampoo or their body wash off properly. I know my kids, especially my youngest, he comes out and he's always dripping in bubbles because he doesn't actually properly wash off anything. So your shampoo and that can actually be one of the main causes of things like that. So wash your hair first, make sure obviously that it's all washed away, and then do your cleanse.
Amazing. Okay, and the next question we've got is from Lauren. I've seen a product on TikTok that I want to try. Should I be doing this before my wedding?
Right, okay. So see, when it comes to, I've actually not even got TikTok, but I do see things popping up, you know, on my Facebook and stuff. And some of the things are absolutely crazy. I don't think I would, I mean, I don't know what product it is she's seen, but I don't know if I would be taking anything from what some of the TikTok kind of trends that are out there. And a lot of the trends that you see, these aren't like qualified people either. Do you know what I mean? If a dermatologist, say, was on TikTok and they were, do you know what I mean, doing whatever the trend is, and this is a great product, I would probably be more inclined to believe that. But see, if it's an influencer and there's, you know what I mean, rub tomatoes over your face or whatever it is, I don't think I would be doing anything like that, and you don't know if they're getting sponsored as well, do you know what I mean? Some people sponsor, they're getting paid to sponsor a specific product, and there'll be people out there listening to them and thinking, oh, I'm going to try a bit of that. And it's not to say it would help them in their specific concerns. So I probably wouldn't be doing anything kind of trendy that you see on TikTok, not too close before the wedding.
And I guess as well, like, you need to check the ingredients on that too, because as you said, when you sort of identify your skin type, it might not even work for you.
No, I mean, some people spend an absolute fortune on skincare, and they're actually using really, really good brands. But unless those ingredients are specific to your concern or skin type, then it's not going to work. Do you know what I mean?
We'll come into skin type in a minute, because I think that is another key question. So the next question we've got here is from Taylor. What should I use on my wedding day to help my makeup look its best?
So this is this would be a good question for a makeup artist as well, because I know that makeup artists, depending on the type of makeup that they are applying on you, then they might recommend something that would be great, because I know there's some amazing primers and stuff like that out that's going to they'll smooth the skin out before you apply your foundation, and then they'll also allow your makeup to last for, do you know what I mean, so that your makeup's more long lasting as well. But definitely, you definitely want to be hydrating your skin before your makeup anyway. I see loads of people putting makeup directly on their face without putting any prepping products on. So a really good kind of hydrating serum, and then go with what your makeup artist says about things like primers, or they might recommend you use something a wee bit richer on your skin the day of the wedding, just to complement the kind of types of products, makeup products that they're going to be using on you. But I mean, these are things that you want to be kind of testing out before anyway. If you're going to get on a good skincare regime, you want to be using those serums and moisturizers, whatever you're going to be using, and then be applying your makeup and see how they look throughout the day. How long do they last? It's trial and error, trying to find something for you that's going to be perfect for the day and the kind of makeup that you're going to be wearing.
Yeah, I think I'm guilty of myself of not having the most perfect skin routine. But how far in advance should I be thinking about that skin routine, and getting into that habit?
So I would say at least 3 months. So your skin goes through one full cycle, and it takes about a month. So see, if you allow your skin to go through 3 full skin cycles, then I would say that's the best time, or the minimum amount of time that you want to start a new skincare regime. And again, going back to what we said at the beginning, getting good advice from a professional as well, so that you know that you're spending money on products that are actually going to help your skin type and condition and concerns. But yeah, I would say at least 3 months to get optimal results for your big day.
Brilliant. So we've got some more questions here. Why does my skin break out in spots after a treatment? So I guess that would be facials and things like that.
Yeah, so good question, because it happens quite a lot. So one of the main reasons I would say, so I mean, any treatment can make your skin kind of purge like that. It's an increased level of exfoliation that you're getting when you're getting a treatment. But a way to avoid that is, see if you're actually using, so how we were speaking earlier on about getting treatments done alongside a really good skincare regime at home. So a lot of people actually go and get treatments done, but they're not following a routine at home. So if you're not doing anything like following a routine that's got the specific ingredients for your skin type and concerns, then you're going to get a treatment. So you're not doing anything like exfoliating or hydrating and things, and then you're going for a treatment, and it's like a massive surge of everything getting done to your skin. So your skin, when you put your skin through that, then it will tend to purge. So if you're doing a good skincare routine at home, then your skin shouldn't your skin shouldn't go into shock. Do you know what I mean? When you go in for a treatment, and because it should be used as a boost to what you're already doing at home. Another thing that actually can happen is, see, when you get a treatment done, it can actually stimulate your oil glands. So I always find when I get a treatment done, I feel a bit oilier than normal for a couple of days after. So the increased level of oil can actually result in breakouts as well. I'll actually tell you a story about one of the girls that works with me. So she has got quite an oily skin, and I was trying to come up with this kind of super facial, and used her as a guinea pig. So I mean, I was throwing everything at her. I was peeling and I was steaming and I was doing everything. And she'd been used to getting lots of treatments done by me, and she used a really good skincare routine at home. So this day that I'd done, I mean, it was like a 2-hour facial, and I thought this is going to be absolutely amazing. And I did this treatment on her. See, the next again day, honestly, she looked like she could fry chips on her face. Like, I swear, she came in, her skin was so oily. And then a few days later, she broke out. And I just think it was overstimulating her skin. So one thing that I do, if somebody has got an oily skin, one thing that I do in my clinic is I don't do anything overstimulating on them, just for that reason, because you do naturally kind of stimulate the oil glands. So I don't really do a lot of massage or anything on a client that's got an oily skin. For a dehydrated and dry skin, then like a facial with a lot of massage and stuff is amazing. But if you have got an oily skin, then I would avoid doing anything too stimulating, because that's just what happens. And at the end of the treatment as well, I always put that little bit less serum on, because I've been for lots of treatments, and then I leave and I feel as if, like, do you know that feeling that your skin's so oily after a facial, they've just put too much, the combination of your oil glands getting stimulated and too much serum and moisturizer on, it's just, I hate that feeling of being too greasy. So I always put that after a facial, and someone with an oily skin, that little bit less serum than I normally would. So yeah, combination of things, your oil's getting stimulated, and it's that increased level of exfoliation that you're having.
Okay, brilliant. And next question. How close to the wedding should I get to my last treatment? So I think for me, this would be, I'd probably have like a facial or something like that, maybe a couple of weeks before. But what is your recommendation? Like, when should you get that last skincare treatment?
Yeah, so not too close, because obviously, just like what we spoke about there, I would say between minimum maybe 3 days to up to a week before, and it all depends as well. I mean, would you be getting a spray tan? So will you personally be getting a spray tan for your wedding? Or?
I might do, because I'm getting married in October.
Right, okay.
So it's not quite summer holidays,
and you do want to have that kind of golden kind of, that kind of glowy
so I
tan.
might do. And the thing is, I would normally just do like a self tan at home, but I feel like it's not always perfect.
I know. So sometimes you're better leaving it to the professional. But so if you were getting a spray tan, I mean, you wouldn't want to get a spray tan 24 hours after a facial. So it's kind of like planning out what you're going to be doing, what your preparations are for your wedding. So I would probably, the ideal time really would probably be 3-4 days before it, or like no longer than a week before it, because my favorite treatment before, so I might do like really aggressive treatments before a wedding, the lead up to it, but see the last treatment, I do something like a really nice gentle peel or something like that, and you still want to have that kind of like glowy, radiant, do you know what I mean, smooth skin, so you don't want to have it too far away from the wedding, do you know what I mean? So I think 3-4 days are ideal.
Perfect. Where should my budget go? Skincare or treatments?
So you probably know what I'm going to say because I keep going on about it, but skin before treatments. Excuse me. So yeah, I think if you've got a budget, the first thing that I would do is I would be allocating the majority of my budget to my skincare routine at home. So something that you're going to do every single day religiously to improve any skin concerns that you have. And if you've got a budget, you've still got money left in the budget, that's when you get treatments done.
Brilliant.
So skincare first, then look at doing treatments.
Amazing. And if I'm on a tight budget, what are the key products then that I need in that routine? So we've said skincare over treatments. Yeah. What are those key things, like key products that I need in my skincare routine?
Yeah. So I would probably say key products are a really good cleanser, because if you don't, the cleanser is your first step in your skincare routine. So if you failed the first step, then do you know what I mean? Every other step after that's not going to be as great. So I would say get a really good cleanser, and one that's specifically for your skin concerns and type. After that, I think it depends on your kind of skin concerns. So I would say if you have got, say, an oily skin, I would probably look into getting an exfoliator, so a cleanser and an exfoliator, and maybe not. You don't need to have spend a lot of money on, say, a serum for your skin. So if you have got an oily skin, if you've got a break, like if you're prone to breakouts and stuff, the way to think about, like, if you are getting spots and stuff, a spot is basically dead skin, oil and bacteria. So you want to eliminate one of those things. So if you up your exfoliation, then you're getting rid of something that's causing that spot, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of people with oily skin don't exfoliate enough. So you'd be aiming to exfoliate your skin maybe 2 to 3 times a week if you had an oily skin. So a really good cleanser and a good exfoliator, and then a budget serum would be great. And I'll always recommend an SPF for everyone, no matter the skin type. If you've got a dry skin, then I would probably say, again, a really good cleanser, and maybe a really good nourishing serum or moisturizer. So it really depends on the kind of skin type and concerns that you've got.
Yes. Well, speaking of skin type, you've mentioned that identifying your skin type, you probably need to go to a professional who can do it clearly for you.
Yeah.
But I think let's talk about ingredients. So if I've got dry skin, what ingredients should I be looking out for?
So if you've got dry skin, you want to be looking at ingredients with maybe things like vitamin E or ceramides, which are basically like fats, like lipids that are naturally found in your skin cells anyway. And these are really good at retaining moisture in the skin. So if you have got a naturally or a genetically dry skin, which a lot of people don't actually have, a genetically dry skin, more people in the world actually have an oily skin. But if you have got naturally or genetically dry skin, then you need to have more kind of emollient, kind of rich products. Because if your skin if it can't naturally produce an oil, then you need to add more emollient kind of ingredients to your skin.
And then for combined skin or like slightly congested skin, what would you recommend there?
So I would probably if you've got, see, I don't really treat anyone like, I don't look at people as having a combination skin. I look at it, do you produce oil or do you not? And if you produce oil, then I would be looking for ingredients that are going to help control that oil. One thing that you need to be careful about with your skincare is there's a big difference between oil-free and oil control. And just because something's oil-free, it doesn't mean to say it's actually going to help or control the amount of oil in your skin. It just means that you're not putting any oils on your skin. Do you know what I mean? So if you've got a combination skin, if you're prone to breakouts and acne-prone skin, then I would be looking at specific ingredients that are going to reduce or control the amount of oil that your skin's producing. And the thing that you need to remember as well, if you've got an oily skin, like I can't I can't stop your skin from producing oil. Do you know what I mean? All I can do is give you products to help control it. I can't genetically change how your skin is. So if you've got an oily skin, I can only give you products that's going to help you. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have an oily skin. So things to look out for is, I've mentioned it before, salicylic acid. So salicylic acid is one of my favourite ingredients. It's an acid which has, is the only acid that can actually draw out oil from your pores. So think of it as a sponge. So not only does it exfoliate, so if you remember that if you are prone to breakouts are oil and dead skin. So it's salicylic acid is doing two things. So it's eating up all that dead skin and it's reducing the amount of oil in the pore as well. It's also anti-inflammatory as well. So it's like a hero ingredient. I would be looking for that. Another thing is, I've mentioned it before, benzyl peroxide, things like sulfur, also things like retinol, because retinol actually normalizes and it sounds dead boring to say that like it tries to make your skin normal, if that makes sense. So retinol is great for that, and there's all different brands and different strengths and stuff of retinol or vitamin A. So that would be the kind of key ingredients I'd be looking for: salicylic acid, benzyl peroxide, sulfur, retinol. Those are the kind of ingredients that I would be looking for.
And would that be the same for oily skin as well?
Yeah, oily skin, yeah. Sorry, what did I say? Did I say oily skin?
No, you said a combination.
Breakout. Yeah, combination, yeah. So if you've got a combination skin, I'm kind of targeting and do you produce oil? Are you producing oil? So that's kind of what I'm going to target.
Okay, amazing. And I think that is all of our listener questions. So thanks so much for joining us today, Nicola. And I've certainly learned a lot.
Thanks for having me.
I've learned so much, and I am definitely going to go and do my homework and find out if my skin routine is suitable, and two, actually get a bit more strict on my skin routine before my wedding, which is at time of recording nearly 12 months away. So we'll see.
We've got plenty of time, and like I say, 12 months is a perfect time, like allocation of time for you to start doing what you're going to do. You look like you've got great skin anyway, so.
Well, that's the thing. I have very breakout prone based on hormonal or stress.
Oh yeah.
So that's the thing we've got to work out, whether that is what's causing
and
that.
Stress stress is really, it plays a key part in your skin as well. So even like, I'll quickly say about stress, like, I mean, trying to tell a bride not to be stressed before her wedding, do you know what I mean? Everybody's going, I know what I was like before my wedding, but it's just like doing wee things, and you've probably like, you could do a full podcast on how to de-stress yourself before your wedding, but just taking time out and going for a massage, doing things that kind of do chill you out, that'll help as well, because stress can play a massive part in how your skin's going to look as well. So
yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into that, because that's probably the one thing that's probably going to make me break out is going to be stress. So if you want to find out more about Skin Geek and what Nicola and her team can offer, we have their social media and website linked in the show notes for you. And as always, you can follow us at Guide to Brides. And until next time, happy wedding planning. Thanks again, Nicola.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.